Yeah.
5 minutes before we can see both, 5 minutes later we can see either. That's how quick things can change up in Dartmoor. How we doing?
I'm good. It's hot. I'm sweaty. Uh, yeah. Jesus, I just realised how long my hair is. Yeah, no, it's yeah, it's. I'm good. How are you?
It's been a long one today, but it's been not too bad. It's like you say, it's just been hot. It just makes everything like sticky and horrible. But it could definitely be worse because it could be winter.
Mm. Well, very true. Very true. I wouldn't mind it being spring, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What is your favourite time of year in Cornwall? I'm sure we've talked about this before, but yeah, what is
Spring,
it?
I think. Yeah, well,
Is
it
it?
depends. I like flowers, but then I also don't like heat. I've never been a big fan of it. So,
Mm,
as I'm quite a sweaty person, as you know very well.
if only I was quick
So
enough to overlay that drone footage right now. Uh,
yeah.
oh dear.
Ooh.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think I like autumn as well. I do love the summer and I like the spring, but
Mhm.
I like the colours in autumn in Cornwall, especially. You just
Mm.
see some really nice stuff, especially when you wake up on one of those like mornings where it's like it's like misty, but there's like it's a golden light and the leaves are like a little bit browny golden. I like that as well,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to complain about any of the seasons down here, to be honest. So
Yeah, it's all quite good, isn't it?
it is all quite good. So today's episode, we've probably got quite a lot to go over today. I think I can just hear myself your end.
But oh wait, let me just turn you down. How's that
Okay,
sound?
it should be fine. So yeah, we done a. It's plotted out as a 60k hike of Dartmoor. I reckon we've probably done like 65 with like the moving around and stuff like that. So we walked pretty much about 65 kilometers in 16 hours, but over 3 days. It was like 3 hours on day one, 10 hours on day two, and 3 hours on day three. Pretty much, it was thereabouts. So, yeah, it was a hell of a ride. What are your initial like thoughts about how that whole experience went?
How? Yeah. So first, it's pretty cool hiking. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've ever done like a proper through hike like that. I mean, I know we did that marathon walk not too
Hmm.
long ago, but like through an entire park essentially, because obviously it's Dartmoor National Park when we walked the entire through the whole thing. I don't know if I've ever done that before, so thinking about that's pretty cool. Like walking the whole distance. And when you say, it's definitely one you could do in 2 days. I think that is only because of the timings for us that we had to go up and do it the way we did it. We were actually originally going to try it in 2 days, but looking at it now, the way that we were going to do it, we were going to get up and go a Saturday morning, probably not get there till like 11
Yeah,
o'clock.
that would have been
Hard.
hard work. Yeah, really hard work. We would have been. I don't know where we would have got to be honest, but it would have been two very very hard days.
Hmm.
Yeah, especially especially with what ended up happening. But I guess let's go to that when we're like as we come to it, like the hardships and stuff like that. So basically, what we've done is the if you saw the last episode, you'll know what we've done, especially if you watched it. But I'm just going to quickly share the screen now anyway, and you'll see what we've done. So this is the map, and for those of you who are listening and not watching, it's a map of Dartmoor, and you can see Oakhampton. I'm zoomed up there at the moment, and we went all the way down here to Ivy Bridge, and that is the 59 kilometers with a couple of little weird ziggy zag bits. When we plotted this out, it was it didn't look too bad. We were just like, yeah, okay, that looks like a good route. We took a couple of detours from the route that we actually found because we thought it'd be cool to spend the first night in the same place that we camped on the night we done it in February as well. So I guess let's talk about the prep first, and then we'll talk about the journey up and then the first day. So, do you feel like we prepped everything we needed, and we had everything we could have done, and then like leading up into the journey? How do you think all that bit went?
I think like it was okay. I think we stuff we forgot, and I think that'll probably always be the case. We forgot a lighter we could have done with, and a few other bits. The water situation I think could have been better, and we spoke about this the other day. So I took 7 liters. You took a bit less, I think. Um, and so I just had like the 3 liter Camelback thing that you put in your with the tap, and then I had 2 liter bottles of water, and it was surprising because it was so hot how quickly you ran out of that. And what we haven't done yet, which we need to do, is have like some water filtration systems so we can go from streams and stuff, because that would have
Mm.
made our lives a lot easier. Because the packs, we had heavy backpacks on. It was like 20 kilos or 20 kilo plus potentially
So I
backpacks
weighed
on.
mine when I got back, and it was 18 kilos of no water. So
Hmm.
at the peak, it would have been 23 kilos.
Hmm.
At a minimum, I would say it would have been 20 kilos at any given time with water and food added on. So I didn't have any of that when I weighed it the second
Yeah.
time. So yeah.
I would say in terms of prep, I don't know how well prepped we were, considering that it was very last minute that we decided to go up on a Friday.
Hmm.
Um, we didn't really have a real understanding of how long it would potentially take, but also on the Sunday, we wanting to get home by a certain time. So if we did do it Saturday, Sunday, it would have been so fucking tight. And I think we could have probably been a little bit more prepped in terms of our training, maybe. Yeah,
Hmm.
like, well, for me, for sure. But yeah, I think that we definitely could have been more prepped. However, it didn't impact it really because we still did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I mean, in terms of what we took, we obviously took our tents, our sleeping mats. We took a bunch of food. Unfortunately, the dried meals we ordered turned up after we'd left on the day we left. I
Hmm.
assume you've got them now, have you?
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
loads of
yeah,
them.
got loads of them now. Yeah, and then we obviously took our water, filming equipment, which the average person wouldn't have to take. I took a drone, a GoPro, and another camera as well. So yeah, that all added up. Uh, and yeah, we had food. What else was there? Spare clothes. What else? A couple of big power banks. Now I've got some old ass power banks, and they weigh about a kilo and a half each as well. So and 2 lanterns. All in all, it added up to quite a heavy pack. Rest assured, I have been looking at lightweight stuff since we've been back
Hmm.
because I'm like, yeah, how can we do that lighter? So yeah, we got all that together and we ended up getting a train. Josh's lovely mum gave us a lift to the train station, and we had like a 4.5 hour journey, I think, just to get there in the first place. And
Mm.
we got there. It was about 10 to 6, wasn't it? I think by the time we
Yeah.
we set off. So we're at Oakhampton. We're about to set off. We've been walking for about 5 minutes and we take a wrong turn straight away. So we turn around, come back. We only
Yeah,
walked about
yeah.
100 meters in the wrong way, and then we entered. Yeah, that first leg of the journey, we actually done 7 tours on day one within like I think what time did we get there? It was before 9, wasn't it? It was like 8:30, so maybe it was only 2.5 hours, which was nice to be honest. It was a nice day. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that first leg that we done then?
Yeah, it was fine. I think we which is something we tend to do a lot when we do stuff, is we tend to instantly try and take the harder path
Hmm.
rather than taking it easy, and I think that might impact us later in the game. Although it's still a challenge. That first bit, we were walking through the woods in the first bit, and it was really nice. And I think we were so confident then walking through that bit that this is gonna be easy. We're gonna have a great time the whole time, and we still did have a great time. But I don't think we were expecting it to be as hard as it was in some bits. Um, but the first leg was really nice. We got those. The north of Dartmoor's just epic, and the big tours are awesome. We saw more people than expected. Actually, we saw quite few people, and when we got to the tour that we wanted to get to, there was quite a few people there already set up camp, so we had to look around a bit to find a bit of camp. But to be fair, it wasn't that hard, and we found a reasonable camp that was pretty sheltered. Um, the only issue we had was that in typical Dartmoor fashion, we the forecast said it was going to be bright sunshine for the whole weekend, and as soon as we got to the more, well, I think it was like two, maybe three tours before the tour we were getting to, we could see the fog just rolling in. And by the time we got to the tour, you couldn't see anything other than the tour you were at. The fog was in, and that was it. We thought we were gonna have a nice sunset and stargazing and all that lot, and we had none of that.
We didn't have our romantic moments that we were hoping
No.
for. So basically, just to go off your first point that you made here about taking the harder route, when we first plotted out the route, it took us basically through like a bit of a valley. But when we were looking at the map for that particular part, we saw three tours that were right next to each other. So we were like, "Sod that! Let's go over the first three tours." So we went a slightly different way, and then so that was Belston tour, Higher tour, and then Winter tour. I think it was. Let me share this actually again while I'm here, so you can see. So yeah, we went those three tours there, which is really good. That didn't take us that long. We saw someone like chilling out on the top of this tour as well, so that wasn't too far. But that's to be expected, right? So it's not far from Oakhampton. It's a lovely evening, and because it's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
hot, that would have been a perfect time for walking dogs, which is what people were doing. We were expecting to see people at either end of the national park, and then yeah, we came out of there, and then we got to Oak Tour. Oak Tour's quite a famous tour, Oakhampton, obviously. That's when I decided to look to my right, and I said to Josh, "That's looking a bit dark over there. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's like rain to you." And then that's when you looked
Yeah.
at your weather forecast and were like, "Yeah, the forecast has changed. It looks like it's going to come in and start raining now." And yeah, the like you said, the fog and the rain, we could just see that roll in towards us. So as we went from Oak Tour, we then came up to the next tour, which is called Steeperton Tour, and the first part of that steep is called that for a fucking reason. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that
And
was steep. That was
it
really
was
steep. That one.
steep. We didn't take the hardest route up there, but we also didn't take the easiest route up there. We took somewhat of a kind of shortcut, but it made it steeper and a bit harder. We still hadn't been hit by the fog. In fact, it wasn't until we got to the next tour, I think, was it? We were just approaching. We were like halfway between Steeperton and Wild Tour when it had rolled over us. That was right, wasn't it? That's when the
Yeah.
fog rolled over us. Yeah. So much so that if you're looking at the map now, these big squares, they're like a kilometre each, and
Hmm.
you can see that it's about a kilometre away from each other. So we must have been in between them, about 500 meters from either of them, and we could not see either of the tours at that point. And this happened within the space of like 5 minutes. Like
Yeah.
5 minutes before we could see both, 5 minutes later we couldn't see either. That's how quick things can change up in Dartmoor.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how fast it can change. And it goes from like no cloud in sight, really sunny, to now I can't see a single thing.
Literally anything.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts.
But I can't remember. Was it Steeperton? I think it was Steeperton. You done a bit of a bearing, and you realised we could see Water Tour from there, wasn't it? Or was that Oak Tour? I can't remember which one it was now. Where you could
Yeah, it's
see,
early on. I could see it early
yeah.
on. Yeah.
And yeah, you worked out which one was which, so we could see Water Tour. But again, by the time we'd left, by the time we were halfway between the other two tours, we couldn't see Water at all. But we had seen it, which makes we were debating whether or not to stop at Wild Tour as well.
Hmm.
But then we decided to push on to Water Tour, and where we saw a very shifty guy trying to take a pee, and unfortunately for him, every time he went lower to try to get out of my line of sight, I walked a bit higher up the hill, and he had to shuffle a little bit lower to try to hide. And then he just gave up in the end. It was like, I'm in the wild. I was going to go for a pee. So when we got to Wurton Tour, there was about, I think, 6 or 8 guys who were camping in the exact spot we camped in last time, so we couldn't camp there, which was a bit unfortunate. But we managed to find a place about, I don't know, 60, 70 meters up from there, and we camped there the night instead.
Yeah, and it was just completely covered in poo.
Yeah,
It's just
literally cow and sheep shit everywhere. Yeah,
yeah,
but that's fine, isn't it?
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on that first night's camping, like set up and everything like that?
So I mean, we're quite lucky where we've got really easy setup. Our tents are so easy to set up.
Mm,
Well, I think mine's a lot easier than yours actually.
yeah,
Mine
yeah.
mine goes up so quickly. Um, it's just got a little less space than yours does. Yours has got a bit more room to like sit up and stuff. But setup was fine, and then we made up our first batch of pasta meals, and that was fine. That was nice. It was all right. I think by that time we was a little bit tired. It'd been
Mm,
a long day, so we just kind of set up and got in our tents and essentially crashed out. But that first night for me was quite cold. It went. We was expecting it to be super hot, so we just had our sleeping bag liners, and I ended up having trousers on, a jacket on, and then I had an ingenious idea to put socks on my hands to keep my hands warm, um, which kept me warm, my hands warm overnight. But the first night I think was the rougher of the two in terms of sleep. It wasn't the best night's sleep. It was a bit of tossing and turning, and because it was a little bit windier as well than it was the second night. But it's what you kind of expect with camping,
yeah.
really. Like first night's always going to be a little bit shoddy, and then you get used to it. So I probably had about 5 hours sleep, I think, or if that, and then it was all right.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I think by the time all was said and done, by the time we set up and had eaten and had gone to actually zipped our tents, I think it was about 10 o'clock ish. So
Mm.
it's something along those lines. So yeah. And then one thing though that was a bit of a bonus on hindsight is that we didn't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning because it was so foggy. I wanted to get up to watch the sunrise, and I also wanted to do some long exposure shots on my camera to get some shots of the stars and hopefully the Milky Way because it's a bit of a dark spot. But it was so freaking foggy that that both of those were made redundant anyway, so neither of those things happened. But yeah, so I can't remember what time we set off then. I think we woke up next morning, had a bit of breakfast, which was just basically a breakfast bar. And I can't remember what else, some nuts, I think, or something like that, wasn't it? I think we had,
Yeah, it was essentially loads of nuts and a breakfast bar and then a coffee. That was our
and a
breakfast. Yeah,
coffee. Yeah, and then we set off about 8:30, started walking in a direction, and then we went a little bit off track. And I don't know why we went off track actually. On hindsight, I can't remember why. I think we were just following the wall, but we ended up having to walk over our first difficult bit. And
but yeah,
when we came back over that, our thoughts were, well, God, that was a bit stupid, but that's probably the hardest part that we're going to do today. Oh, how wrong we were.
yeah,
This was the long days. Ahead of setting off, what our plan was we thought it was going to be. Oh, what time did we thought we might get to the camp, to our camping site. Possibly, we thought we'd be able to make it like 5 o'clock or something like that, maybe 6 o'clock, with a stop in Princetown for something to eat as well. That didn't necessarily happen. So that first bit where we went off track, there was just so much tunnocks and stuff like that. We had to clamber back over. It probably added an extra like 15 minutes on. Actually, it was shorter in terms of the route. It was a bit of a shortcut in terms of looking at it on a map, but it was longer in terms of the ground we had to manage. And I don't know why that happened. I think we were following a wall, thinking it was the path, and then we ended up with veered off or something like that. Anyway, but then we went down. So on the map here,
it's Sandy Hole
that
Pass.
yeah, that actually looks like quite a way. So it's there. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 kilometers down the lane, down the road, or down the path. Walking through the fog the whole time. This was as well. There's some footage of us just being like, "God, these are just these hills are coming out of the fog." Like
Yeah,
they're just a bit creepy, isn't it? You said it was like, "Wow, look at that, the way it's coming out and stuff like that." It's
yeah,
just like
yeah,
they
yeah.
appear out of nowhere. You really couldn't see still at this point. And yeah, we got 6 kilometers and we came to a place called Sandy Hole Pass. And we were like, okay, there was a little warning sign there, which is not there anymore. Look at that, it's gone.
Oh, wow.
There was a little warning thing on the map, on the OS maps that we saw, that said it might be impassable. We got over that quite quick, which further emboldened us to think, okay, we're going to make some good time here. This is going to be all right. So we got to the other side of a little brook, which is actually the Dart River. Got a little bit of drone footage of Josh's sweaty back. Then we headed off. What happened next, Josh?
Well, so the path on the this is we headed off and we managed to find a path, and then I decided to follow the route that the OS maps gave us.
If you can see it
Which
by now, sorry to interrupt, but if you
Yeah,
can see the map right now on the screen, look how easy this looks.
looks
Look
really
how
easy.
easy this looks. Yeah, so
So
sorry,
it's that
Josh, carry
straight
on.
line.
Hmm.
It's that straight line over that hill, essentially. That straight line over that hill, um, to the right of Wildbanks Hill, there is the path that it essentially took us over. Now that is only about, well, it's there. It's about two
Okay,
kilometers.
yeah.
Yeah, it's 2K. That 2K is probably the hardest 2K I've ever walked in my life,
The
because
longest 2K as well, right?
longest 2K, it took ages because it was just, there was no path. We stupidly just went, oh well, we'll just follow the maps, and didn't follow the path that potentially was there that may or may not have took us around. We weren't sure, so we just followed the map and we went round. And my God, it was all hillocks and just long grass. But the problem with Dartmoor is the long grass is like, you don't know if you're stepping on solid ground or going to go through to ground underneath. So it's up and down and really hard terrain to walk through. But it felt, that 2K stretch felt like it was never going to end. It just kept going, and you couldn't see the other side. So you couldn't see it like anything on the other side. So it just felt like it was going forever and ever. And we kept going, and it was slow going, really slow going. And we eventually got to the end, and then we saw that on the maps there was the ruins of a house. So we were like, "All right, we'll get to that. Stop there," which is their Brown's house ruin. Um, and we decided actually when we got there, screw it, we'll go to a Lower White Tor, and then the path eventually then started to come in. So we walked the path up to Lower White Tor, where we eventually had a rest. But by that time, it was already, I think, like 12 o'clock,
Yeah, it
and
was.
we were hoping to have been by Princetown by then, and that's still a good. It was. I think we were only about halfway, so we still had a long old way to go. And what's interesting is it doesn't look far. Princetown on the map doesn't look far from the Tor there, Lower White Tor. It doesn't look far at all. But the walk then from Lower White Tor to Princetown also felt like forever as well.
Yeah, that was like 8.5K. And it was, yeah, that was a long way, maybe about 9K actually. So
Mm.
on hindsight, like if you would have asked me how far that hard bit was, so basically what this landscape is, it's grassy that in the winter would definitely have bogs in it. So we stepped in some bits that were like so wet, and we learned to recognize them, right? It was like the orangey
Yeah.
bits that were definitely soft underneath, but this just had tens of thousands of tiny little streams going between grassy tunnocks that they're just worn away over time. And like you said, you didn't know if you were standing on something solid, something soft, or something where there was a drop by about literally a foot and a half, 2 foot. And it was just so crazy. You had to watch every step. I would have said that felt like about 7 or 8K in itself. It just felt like such a long time. And then, yeah, we got to that ruins. Although, to be fair, by the time we got to higher, Lower White Tor, was it? It was lower than we stopped to have our coffee, didn't
Yeah,
we?
yeah, we
So
stopped at
yeah,
Lower White Tor, yeah.
yeah, we made a nice coffee. I got a nice drone shot at Lower White Tor, which is good. We had a coffee there, and it was there that, to be honest, from there until much, 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 much later in the day, the path itself wasn't actually that bad anymore. It was everything was nice. It was just a long freaking way because that 2 kilometers had just messed us over. Something I've got to mention, by the way, at this point, I wore the wrong socks on the first day, complete rookie mistake. So I had 2 massive blisters, one on each heel already, which wasn't making me very happy. So yeah, that was that was not making me very comfortable. So by this point, I think we were on like tour 10 by the time we've gone past Higher White Tour. And then we've got 11, 12. And then we got to, was it Crockern Tour? Was that the real epic one? No, it wasn't. What was
No,
the
that was
real
Longerford.
epic tour?
Longerford tour.
That's it. So we got to a tour a little while after that. Oh, there it is. So the next one after Higher White Tour, so we stopped at Lower White Tour, then we walked past Higher White Tour, and then we got up to Longerford Tour. Now, I wish we'd had a bit more time to explore that one because that was probably the most epic tour that we came to in a close vicinity to. We could see some in the distance that looked absolutely incredible, but in terms of getting close to, this one was. And I got some footage of it, but none of the footage I got looked anywhere near as good as what we could actually see. So yeah, it was an insane looking tour. It was freaking tall as well. I'm not sure how tall it was exactly.
Yeah, it was massive.
It was only 5. I don't know what that number is because the line's covering it. Maybe 8-7. Yeah, but it was really really cool. And then we dropped down into like walking alongside some woodland. And then we got to the edge of. I would say, I guess that's called the edge of the north, right? And we approached a road where we bumped into 2 guys, and something we didn't realize at the time is they changed our trajectory for the rest of the day by having a little chat with them.
Yeah, there was 2 Dartmoor volunteers essentially, who were at the entrance to, what's that, 2 bridges? That's it, entrance to 2 bridges. It's like a little hamlet there, and that's where a lot of people enter the moor. And the 2 guys were there, and they stopped us and just asked us what we were doing, where we were going. I think they're kind of there for information, but they're also checking that you're camping in the right places and stuff like that. Because some of Dartmoor you can camp, some of it you can't. And we told them where we were going. Said we were going to Red Lake, and Jack asked the question, "Oh, can we swim there?" And they were instantly like, "No." They said you could swim if you want, but because it's stagnant water and it's been hot, there's probably going to be a lot of like things you could potentially catch. There might be leeches. It's just not going to be a nice place to swim. And we went, oh, okay. Well, that was our whole goal for the rest of the day, was to go there and get a swim. And it was hot as well. We were both, by that time, middle of the day, we were both super hot, and we were both gasping to get in the water. And we were like, oh no. So he kind of changed our trajectory, as you said, on what we were going to do.
Yeah, it was a little bit gutting because we'd specifically picked that route to go past that place because there was no other swimming spots that looked like we could have gone to, basically. So we moved on anyway, and then I'm not going to lie, this was probably my second least favourite part of the walk, this next bit, because it was a long road, and then we got stuck at this junction after walking through fields where there must have been what seemed like 100 army vehicles. We were trying to cross a road, and we timed it just wrong. Just as we went through the gate, the first one came past. We're like, oh, look at that, that's cool. And then 10 had gone past, and we're like, oh, yeah, cool, yeah. Okay, I'm going to take all exaggeration. There must have been at least 200, right? I can't be wrong there, surely. There must have been at least 200.
The army cars just kept going and going and going. It was obviously some kind of rally or meet up or something.
Yeah. It was like 1940s, 1950s, like that kind of, maybe even earlier, I don't know, but it was just one of Land Rovers, these big people carrier ones, mainly Land Rovers, but these big people carrier ones as well, just all sorts. I was like, oh my God, and we were just waiting there for ages.
Yeah, and we had to wait for them, and then we had to cross in. And what's when you're tired and you know that you're about to have lunch, right? So like you're halfway through a walk and you're like, oh, we're so close to stopping for a pub lunch, and you see the town that you're going to. You see, you go, oh, it's right there. I'm not that far. And then the route takes you, you see the town and you go, oh, I've just got to get to there. And then the route goes, that's great, but we're going to walk away from the destination that you're going to for a little bit longer, probably for another 5K. You're going to walk away from the destination and then walk away a bit more and then not be able to see it, and then you don't know how long you're walking for, and then maybe we'll get there. That's a little bit demotivating.
It was a little
like,
bit emo. So we could have walked. We could have walked along the road for a K and a half, but we'd had to walk on the road a little bit just to get somewhere. And that was a horrible little bit of walk. That I did not like that walking on the road at all. We could have walked about a K and a half. If you're watching this and not listening, then we could have walked about a K and a half on this bit here, which is along the road where the army vehicles had come from. But there was no path. There was nothing. What put me off that is that is the sort of road I would bomb it along. Does that make sense? And there was like overgrowth both sides, so it might have been a bit dangerous and what have you. It was cool because we could see the prison by this point, although we were going to lose track of it again. But also shortly after this, after crossing the road after the army procession, that's probably whereabouts you ran out of water, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then it was like, then like you say, there was like another, I think it was like 3.5K, just felt like longer of a bit of a windy road there before we got to Princetown. But that is where we had a well-deserved rest. I had fish and chips. I think you had a burger. And,
burger and chips, yeah.
Resupplied on a bunch of water. Had to get another charging cable because my charging cable had broken. I'd literally bought the day before. Yeah, it was. That was quite nice. That was quite nice food, actually.
Yeah, it was alright. Do you know what's interesting is that like when you're like knackered like that and super hot, it's actually a struggle to eat. Yeah. I was like struggling with the chips. I was like struggling to get them down me, but I did have I had 2 pints of lemonade and the big fat burger and chips, and I was like I needed to get them in me. And then we also got ice cream on the way out as well.
Which yes. So I have fish and chips, which is really nice. But I had a lager shandy, but I specifically asked for like only a third of the beer, and then the rest of it lemonade. That was the most refreshing drink I think I've ever had in my life. That was just so obviously by this point, fog completely gone, sunny, like hot, which is what we originally thought it was going to be. So we were there. I think we were there for an hour and a half tops. But I think it was like 4 o'clock by the time we left, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And then we left, and then we had an ice cream on the way out. Now, to get a bit graphic here, I hadn't had a poo at this point. Josh, oh, had you? Did you manage?
I went in a pub.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, so you did manage. I hadn't. The ice cream quickly changed my thoughts about that. So I was like, oh no, but I was like, not enough to go. So I was like, I'm going to wait until we get to the campground or dig a hole, and that's what you do. So we start walking, and it is hot. It is roasting hot at this point. I think it was like 26, 27 degrees. No shade whatsoever. And this path, I think it's part of the Tarka Trail. I'm not 100% sure. I believe it is. And it's a very nice, well laid out trail. If not a little bit boring, and this is something we spoke about, it was quite nice to be walking on it after the arduous kind of journey we'd had so far. But you could just see it was just this thing. I think it might have been mentally draining in a respect that, unlike the north, where you can't sometimes see what's just ahead of you, you can see a long way ahead on this, so you don't know. You can kind of work out how far away everything is, which was sometimes good, sometimes bad. So we walk for quite a few K, and then go on.
Yeah, I think we did. Like this walk we did quite quickly, I think.
Yeah, we did. It just didn't. It just felt like a long time, right? Because it was getting late in the day. Because I can't remember what time did we get to the campsite that night.
It was like 8. It was like 8 o'clock.
About 8 o'clock, yeah. So say 4 hours then, yeah. And we stopped. It was like 14K or something away total. And what we'd done, we stopped every 5K, didn't we? They stopped 5K, then 10K, and then walked the rest. And that, so the first How far is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, the first 6K, kind of uneventful, right? That wasn't
Yeah,
too bad
really
at all.
uneventful. Yeah.
We could see a few things, walk past quite a few animals at this point, a few horses and a few cows and stuff like that. Then it wasn't until really we got to it must
It,
have been here.
it's
Oh,
the
we
big
cut this
pits.
corner off. Yeah, so we got to the pits, which
Ermy's
was
head and
Ermy's Ermy Pits Hill.
Pits.
That's it. Yeah, Head, and that was some cool. There we saw someone else pitching up a tent there, which if we hadn't been so focused on getting a little bit further, we probably would have considered, to be honest, because it looked like quite a good place to pitch up a tent. So yeah, we looked at that. We had another little rest there, and then we decided, okay, right, let's just move on. So if you can see the map right now, Ermy's Head is literally 3K away from where we were well, just under 3K, like 2 3/4K away from where we were going to spend a night as the crow flies, but a bit longer than that if we were going to walk. But we'd already decided at this point we weren't going to camp at Red Lake, so we camped just a little bit further away. Now, where is that one?
Keep going. Oh, no, not that far.
Well, it's got to be up here somewhere. Three Barrows, is it there? Oh, that's way too far.
No,
I just zoomed in too far.
it was.
So, well, I took my drone over and it was a kilometre away, so it must have been here somewhere. But yeah, it was basically we found a part of the which I originally thought was a cistern. I was like, oh no, hold on a minute. That guy that we ran into said that all the clay works is over there. So it was here basically. I can't find on the map when we were walking past it. You could see like these things on the map. We were like, oh, what are these? They look like buildings, but it actually turned out they were clay pits. So even though it was kind of wind facing, we found a little bit of a wall. We looked at the forecast, realised it was only going to be 5-hour minor winds that night, so we just decided to camp there, which was absolutely fine. And by that point, we'd been walking for 10 hours that day, and we were just like, yeah, let's just set up camp here.
Yeah, and it was all right, wasn't it? Because the ground was really flat. It was quiet, like we said, and we were lucky overnight with it being really quiet. It was at one point. I remember at one point overnight, I'd woken up and it just went eerily silent. Like there wasn't any wind, there was nothing, and I was like, "Am I about to get murdered by a sheep?" And I swear at some point I could hear sheep like clip clopping on the wall behind, which was a bit sketchy. It's not there; it's a bit further up because it's before that lake, Little Maya.
Yeah, it was just like completely freaking quiet, and it was that's as far as I can zoom in anyway. Yeah, it was unfortunately. And you can blame me fully for this. I took a shortcut up the hill, which was not very good for your ankles. I don't think you didn't like that very much.
It was shit ground again. Yeah,
Yeah.
We were like the whole time we were going right. We're just gonna stick to the path. We're just gonna do it. And then right at the end, you go, if we just go up this little bit here, it'll be fine, and we'll get to where we need to get to. And you went up this fucking shit bit of grass. It's further up. You're going the wrong way.
What, north or south?
North, because that's not Red Lake. That's a little.
Oh,
Maya.
yeah. Sorry, didn't realise that. Sorry, my computer's been really slow here. So yeah.
But yeah, so that last little bit, it was another patch of just like real crap ground. There it is.
Right, so this, if you can see now, this is exactly where we camped. You can see there's a big,
that
long thing here, big long semicircle. That is actually a stone wall. That is where we camped. And these things here are all pits. They're all big, deep pits. At first, I was hoping we could camp in one of those, but none of the floors were even enough to do it. So yeah, we ended up going in this bit. And yeah, it was kind of epic.
Yeah, and it was great, and it was in the morning. Like I had a better night's sleep for sure. Still not like loads of hours, but definitely had a better night's sleep. And I think you said you had a better night's sleep as well.
Yeah, I did. Although at 1 o'clock in the morning, the ice cream took effect, and that is when I had to go for a poop at 1 o'clock in the morning. And
Nice.
it's also the same moment when I went back to bed that I realised Josh doesn't snore. He makes
Nope.
strange noises.
I make zombie noises in my sleep.
You really do. You really do.
Yeah.
And at that time in the morning, my mind like gets creative, and all I could hear was a oh, like that kind of noise. It was like really weird. I was like, it sounds like some weirdo standing outside my tent with an axe, just debating whether to
Yeah.
kill me and making weird noises. But yeah, it was quite strange. But apparently, I was snoring as well, wasn't I? So
Yeah,
when I
you
was
snore.
asleep,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we were both being quite loud. Like people would have found us. You said you didn't hear this, but at one point, just shortly after I think we'd gone to sleep, like an hour or so after, I heard some bangs, and they sounded like either like fireworks or gunshots. They were quite a quick succession, but I didn't hear them for very long, so I don't know what that was. But yeah, so we set up with plenty of daylight this time, which is kind of nice. But we still decided to go to hit the Sacco about 9 o'clock, I think it was. We didn't really have anything to eat. I didn't ask you actually. Did you actually eat anything before you went to sleep that night?
I think I had a handful of nuts, and then I was like,
Yeah,
I can't be bothered, so I went to sleep.
yeah, I was similar. I hardly had anything to be honest. But when I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning, I finished off the bag of nuts I'd opened them, so I was a little bit hungry. And then one of the things I did because it was nowhere near as cold as the first night, but I've got an emergency silver foil blanket in my kit. I was like, I wonder how much of a difference this makes. And the answer was a lot. It made a hell of a lot of difference. So I put that over myself. I got so warm that I actually had to take it off at one point as well. So I got rid of that. But that was yeah, that was a interesting thing, and it made me wonder why do they not weave those into sleeping bags to make them ultra light. But anyway, that was night two, and then I think we said to ourselves, let's just wake up when we wake up. And
Hmm.
yeah, we went there. I think I think we both woke up about 6 o'clock ish or something like that. That's about right, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. We got up. If anyone follows us on social media, you would have seen our absolutely fascinating conversation whilst eating roast chicken flavored pasta from a cup the next morning.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. We had a proper
Yeah.
breakfast. It was nice. We actually had that morning, I think was probably my favorite morning
Hmm.
because we just woke up and we made a coffee. We just like chilled. It wasn't hot yet, and we took our time packing out. We'd had our little breakfast. It was quite nice.
Yeah.
We
It
were
really
both
was.
surprisingly positive after like a knackering day.
After a knackering day. I think what one of the other things as well that boosted our morale a little bit is that because we didn't camp where we were going to, and because we actually had to walk further along the path than we were initially going to, we only had 12.5K left to walk
Mm.
total the next day, which we knew the path was relatively easy, so we knew we were going to do that in like 3 and a bit hours. And yeah, so we woke up, we just took our time. We were like, okay, well, let's aim for I think it was we were going to aim for the 2:15 train,
Yeah.
and that would have given us like loads and loads and loads of time because we thought that Ivy Bridge was going to have a load of shops right next to the train station, but we'll get to that when we come to it. And so we took our time walking. So we got up, took our time getting up, packing up, and stuff like that. And the fog was starting to rise by the time we left. What time did we actually leave? I can't actually remember.
It was like 9 o'clock ish. We left,
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
and yeah, we started leaving. And what's interesting about the south in comparison to the north, like we've said multiple times, is that the north's a bit more rugged and more epic, and the paths are a bit less established, I would say.
Mm,
But the south is a very clear-cut path all the way through, and it looks really just like farmland, like here back home. So as much as the path is easier, a lot easier, like to walk on, um, it can feel a bit monotonous because it all kind of looks the same, and nothing really changes. So all we ended up actually walking really fast on the way back. I'm nailing the time because it was not really hilly. It wasn't really. It was kind of flat. The path was easy. We just were ploughing on the whole way back.
mm. One of the things that stuck out to me on this part of the path, well, ever since leaving Princetown, and which we talked about multiple times through the trip, but at no time is it more apparent here. For those who don't know, the entirety of Dartmoor used to be forest. Um,
Mm.
I don't know how true this is. I swear I verified this on a different podcast at some point, but a lot of the wood was taken down and used for shipbuilding back in the 1600s. At least that's what I've told. I need to verify that, so fact check that for yourselves if you want to know. It did. It definitely used to be woodland at one point. And we were just like, oh god, how fascinating would it be if it was still all woodland like that? It would be absolutely insane. It'd be a completely different thing. It would be stunning. It would have been like that place where we went to the first time we went to Dartmoor with all that woodland there, which is
Yeah.
just really, really stunning. Because it was just a little bit monotonous at that point. But one of the things that we noticed, we had just left our campsite, been walking for maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and we saw a guy running towards us. And we were like, it was roasting hot
Oh,
already at this
really hot.
point, and he must have ran from Ivy Bridge, and he was 12k in. Unless I don't know where he was going. If he was going to Princetown, he had God knows how much further to run still. If he wasn't, and he was going back, and he didn't pass us the whole way, maybe there was a circle route. I don't know, but he must have been running a long way. I've got
Yeah,
no
he'd been
idea how
running.
far.
He'd already been running long because by like that was right at the start of our morning walk.
So,
We'd
yeah, so
walked.
he had run at least 12k.
Yeah,
Already. Yeah,
it was
which is
nuts
bonkers, absolutely bonkers.
in that hill, and it was pretty much uphill
Hmm.
because we
Yeah,
were
because we were
walking
walking pretty
flat.
much downhill the whole time, weren't we?
Yeah,
After a certain point. So yeah, he was pretty hardcore. So yeah, we didn't really rest the whole time back. I think we stopped to make a phone call at one point, or am I getting mixed up with the first? No, we didn't stop, did we? Actually, on the way
no, we
back.
didn't. We didn't
Um,
stop at all, and then I ran out of water pretty swiftly. I ran
mhm.
out of water because I didn't have much left anyway, and I ran out probably about halfway through, and it was getting hot.
Mm.
And then yeah, we didn't stop, and then right at the end, coming off of the main path, I think we must have took a shortcut, but the OS maps was as per usual gave us a straight line one way, and the hill we come off of to get off the main path was so steep, like it was like almost vertical, and when you've been walking for as much as we've been walking, there it is. There, so that's the,
This one here,
and it
yeah.
is a shortcut. You can see it on the thing.
But it is
It
also where I think most people do come into it. But yeah, you
yeah,
can. This is the proper path here.
yeah. So we went down this hill, and my God, was it steep. And when you've been walking for days, or walking as long as we have been walking, your knees just like tell you off a little bit. So it was a little bit slow going down that little hill for me more than you, I think. And then we what time was by then? It was like
Well, we realised. So
quarter
we got
to
we got to
12.
here. Yeah, we just started. So I was because your knees were hurting. I waited for you a little bit here, and I got my phone out. Sorry, where is it? Yeah, here.
It's,
And I got
yeah,
my
yeah,
phone out here while you were coming down, and I was like, shit. If we carry on this pace, we can make the train that was 2 hours earlier. So we got to the bottom, and we're like, let's go for it. Let's do it. And although, because initially we decided, okay, well let's chill out, have a coffee at Ivy Bridge, and just do some stuff there. I am so glad, as disgusting as it was, I am so glad we made the decision to get that earlier train, even though we went a bit off course and we had to push it towards the end. We took a bit of a wrong turn here. I'm not gonna lie. So the main reason we took a wrong turn is because I saw a tree covering the path that I didn't want to climb over. I was like, no, sod that. And then we
yeah.
looked at the other bit, and it was like, okay. And then we realised it was private land, so we had to turn around to come back. And for those looking at the screen now, we've done this kind of U-turn thing where we walked down to the road, went across, and then went back up, and that was a train station. Now, initially, we were going to have to wait 2 hours, which would have been fine, but we would have had to walk into the nearest shops, which, looking at it now, is quite a way away. And I wouldn't have wanted to walk into the shops. Our bags were feeling heavy at that point. We were
Yeah.
hurting, like our ankles were hurting. My trap was hurting on the train. That was really giving me some shit actually. And yeah, it was a hard push. Unfortunately, there was also no shop at the no, sorry, yeah, no shop on the station either, so nowhere for Josh to get water. So, being a good friend, I obviously we shared, but that meant we were both out of water, and yeah, so we got on the train anyway, 2 hours earlier than initially. Have I missed
Yeah.
anything out about the journey so far? I think that's
No,
pretty
I
much it,
think
isn't it? Yeah,
that was it because that
mm,
last morning it was really uneventful. We kind of
yeah,
blitzed it back, and
yeah.
we got to the train probably 5 minutes or 5 minutes before it arrived, and then that was it. And then we just zoomed it back. We were both knackered, like partially falling asleep, maybe not on the train, and
Hmm.
then luckily my wonderful mum picked us up at the train station on the other end, and she'd brought ice pops with a which oh my god
That was the
like was
nicest ice pole I have ever had in my
yeah
life. It was so good. We were both dehydrated at this point, so we had a change of train. I can't remember how long it was. Was it 2 hours? No, so it was an hour and three quarters,
yeah
and our train was running late. And luckily, they held the other train at the station so we could get on that. And that was only 15 minutes. That 15 minutes was the worst for me in terms of dehydration. I was starting to feel like shit, I really need to get some water or some fluids in me.
yeah
But that ice pole sorted me out. I only had like 2 gulps of water after I had that, and I was feeling
yeah
absolute. That was like such a win for me, that one.
yeah. So I guess what are the main lessons you've learned over this trip?
Um, one, I think socks. I'm going to invest in some proper hiking socks. I think that would have made, for me, that would have made the biggest difference for me over the entire weekend. If I'd not had blisters, got blisters on day one, that for me would have been the biggest one. Um, and then two would have been water filtration. I am gutted now that we didn't try that because that would have just added to the adventure. And the last few hours of the second day, there's so many places we could have filtered water, like so many places we could have filtered water, which would have saved us having to carry so much. So when we left Princetown, this is what we forgot to mention. I went and bought 8 litres, so we carried another 4 litres each. Which, when you add, so a litre of water, for those who don't know, weighs exactly a kilo. So we added another 4 kilos each to ourselves after that, like right, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was you noticed that, and that was a bit hard going. So the water filtration would have solved all that. It would have been quite nice. Um, so those are the two takeaways I would have had, to be honest. What about you?
Yeah, so one would be water filtration. Also, I think is doing
Hmm.
that properly. I think that would make a massive difference, like you said. Another one for me would be so I borrowed a backpack prior to going from a client of mine who's done loads of through hikes and got some really nice backpacks, and I borrowed it off her, thinking, oh, I'll give it a try, see what it's like, because it might be a good brand to use in the future. Not realizing that her backpack was sized to a small woman, so I had a small woman's backpack on. And it's not about the straps, and where it is, the straps were a bit thin, to be fair, and could have done with being a bit thicker, but the actual frame of the backpack itself was a little bit too small. And like throughout the whole hike, it was like I kept having to undo my chest strap because no matter what, like it was a bit too tight or it wasn't right here or there, and like my neck's still in bits. So I think that probably would make a massive difference to my hiking experience if I just
Mm.
had a proper fucking backpack that fit me rather than a small woman, which I am definitely not. It
So also, what was against your back?
has a sit pad in it.
That so Josh, one of Josh's things, and it was getting to it was how sweaty your back was, but. I think if I'd have had a sit pad against my back the whole time, mine would have been just as sweaty. Luckily, I've got like a bag that's got like mesh and then air filtration for it, but you literally had foam pushing against yours, and that,
I
yeah,
was
that would
so
have made
sweaty.
anyone sweaty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think but I think a backpack would have made a bit of difference. And then like some easier paths sometimes I think would have obviously made a bit of difference.
that for me is a big no.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I know you.
for me, like that. if anything, the seeking out of that harder route is kind of what I enjoy. Like that's the path let's take for a reason, right? We don't have much local to us that can be treacherous, so the idea of trying to make it as treacherous as possible for myself was kind of the point for me, because we had a conversation, didn't we, about like what we're doing it for, and they're kind of different, and we won't go into that now. That could be something for another episode if yeah. But for me, yeah, I get it, but part of the adventure for me was finding those. Not even the fact they were tough, taking the path and then just having to stick with what the fuck you found. That for me was like, yeah, okay, I've got to overcome this now. I enjoy that element of it, despite the fact that 4 days later my feet are still fucked. Like that for me was kind of worth the sacrifice. Today has been, to be honest, the first day that I've been able to walk properly, and I've done a lot of walking since we've been back as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been walking not too bad now. My blisters seem to have recovered. I think some blister patches as well is probably not a bad idea.
Yes,
My
that's definitely something we should need to take. Yeah.
Yeah, but to be honest, it was all right. Like
Mm.
there was tough bits, and the heat and the water was probably the worst thing. So like being better with water would probably make a lot of difference.
So we almost been going for an hour now. So this is going back to the old days of our long episodes. But I just wanted to finish off. I think it's pretty clear, but let's clarify anyway. What was your least favorite part?
Yeah. Do you know what? Like you would say that it would be that bit that was really rough would be my least favorite part. I don't think that was my least favorite part. My least favorite part, I think, was the like the running out of water and getting so hot, because it was towards the end of like getting to Princetown, and then like towards the end of the day getting to Princetown, and then towards the end of the day, on the long day, is when I was like running out of water, and I was just then overheating. So I felt like when I got to Princetown, I felt like I was like, I think I may have just given myself heat exhaustion. You know, I was like getting
Yeah.
lightheaded or feeling sick or whatnot because I just ran out of water. So I think that's the worst thing for me is that I wasn't prepared in that sense. So I think if I was not dehydrated, I'd probably be fine. So I think that's probably the worst bit for me. I don't mind, like I'll complain like I always do when bits are tough. Like, and Jack always tells me I'm grumpy, but I've just this how I get through stuff is I'll just swear and fucking shit, and I'll keep plodding on.
It's it's just I know you're secretly calling me a very bad word, which
Yeah,
I will swear on this, but not say the other word. But under your breath, you're just calling me that word when I pick
I
these harder routes.
and I'm just it's fine, and I don't mind it because I'll just put one foot in front of the other, but I'm just a little bit slower, so fuck it down, and I'll just put one foot in front of the other, and I'll do it, and that's fine. That doesn't bother me because it's that's type B fun, isn't it? That people say where you don't like it while you're doing it, but once you've done it, you feel great.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And we were,
that
like you say, we were really optimistic the next morning. We felt good, and we were having good chat as well. We were like, oh yeah, okay, and oh, the dog's here again. Yeah, we were having a nice chat, and it was like good, and we obviously didn't feel too worse for wear
yeah.
then. I definitely felt worse wear on the Monday, to be honest. It was, but yeah, it was good. It was good fun. So my worst part would probably be the dehydration on the train was bad, but that's probably not my worst part. My worst part was probably be that last path that I got us to take and the end on that hill. Not the 2 kilometers. That was the worst part we walked, but it got to the point where I just wanted to find somewhere to camp then. So not necessarily. I think that's it. Actually, is getting to somewhere and not knowing where we were going to set up camp. I think that was the worst part of me because we were both fucking knackered. I felt a little bit responsible because I'd taken us in that direction as well. So I was like, right, okay, yeah, we need to find somewhere to camp now. So that was my worst part. But let's leave the best part to last. What was your best part?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed Sunday morning breakfast, like waking up and like we just seemed in good like you said, like we seemed in good spirits. And it was quite nice waking up and just taking time and having breakfast and yeah, it's I like how like you feel like that you're just in a Dartmoor's so big, and it was nuts, isn't it? Because it's not really that big in the grand scheme of things. Like I've been to the Rocky Mountains, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's you're in the middle of it, and you're like, I I can't see anything or anyone for miles. This is nuts. Like, yeah, I think the just the grandeur of it sometimes it gets me, and I like that.
Yeah.
Um, but I think yeah, that Sunday morning was probably my favorite morning. Um, my favorite bit of the hike, I'm unsure. Maybe it would either be the tours in the beginning. Um, Longer tour was cool, or I liked when we got down to that bog and we'd crossed over and we were looking at the valley.
Mm,
You know that sandy pass before the ship bit where we got
hmm.
over and we were there and the stream was there and it was yeah I like that as well. I don't know, I like a lot of it. I like
Yeah,
even though I
yeah.
don't seem like it, I quite like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's it. It's like it is that type. I always forget the types. What is it? That type fun
Type
where it's
B.
hard, but yeah, type B fun. So yeah, I'll go with you on the first one. I think my favorite experience bit was the waking up the next morning, just taking our time, waiting for the fog to burn off so we could get some cool drone shots. But my favorite location, which I guess is a good thing in terms of it's easy to get back to, was the first couple of kilometers in the woodland. I would happily do an entire walk
Yeah,
through woodland like that because that for me,
yeah,
I love woodland with streams and like there was like a it was almost bordering on river, not stream at that point. At some of the points, there was some epic stuff looking. So that was my favorite part in terms of an actual physical location. And it's
yeah.
right at the beginning. It was like literally the first like kilometer, I think it was.
Mm.
It was absolutely stunning in that woodland. So I would happily do an entire walk. So let's have a look. About the first 2 kilometers, I think it was before we
Yeah.
came out of there.
It's
And yeah,
that was
absolutely
that
stunning.
was really nice, wasn't it? It was gorgeous, and it's a shame that the rest of Dartmoor is a bit barren.
Yeah.
Um, so you know you don't really get to. I would love a whole woodland walk like that.
Mm,
Like I guess that's what like Appalachian Trail and stuff like
yeah.
that's like. It's just through
Mm,
woods, isn't it? But
yeah. I
yeah,
guess there's I mean I would have thought there's places like that in Scotland that have the forest and obviously the mountains as well. So that could be something we look at for another time. But yeah, if you're listening to this still after an hour and 3 minutes, then let us know if there's anywhere you know in the UK that we can camp um, either legally or get away of camping in. That we yeah that is like that woodland walk. But any final thoughts before we sign off from this one?
no. I guess. What next?
And that is a question, right? So we've talked about Wales and Scotland. So in terms of the UK, it would be like either of those two places. I think a lot closer to home for us if we want to do something a bit shorter is Bodmin Moor, but Bodmin Moor is like way smaller than Bodmin Moor, way smaller than Dartmoor. Like I would say quarter of the size. I'm just looking at it on the map here. So yeah, it's way smaller, but that's something we can do. You're not technically supposed to camp there, but that's something we could definitely do in a like spend the night. That's also where Brownwood is, which is the highest point in Cornwall. So yeah, we could probably do that in like a day or so, which would be quite nice. And there's lots of places to swim in Bodmin Moor as well.
There you go.
Mm.
Although, have you got anything? I mean, I've got bloody St Michael's Mount on Saturday. Jesus,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. So
Have
yeah,
you
just
started running yet?
no. I mean, I've been walking a lot, but there's no way my feet would have been able to run. Like, I'm
Yeah.
hoping to get out this weekend, but we will. Yeah, we'll see if I can or not. I need to because I've only got. How long have I got left? While I'm having a quick look, just tell people what you're doing this weekend.
Yeah. So this weekend I'm swimming around St Michael's Mount, which is in Marazion in Cornwall. It's a famous little like island off the coast, and you got to swim round the mount, and it's about a mile and a half swim round the mount. So I'm
It's gonna be
supposed to be
nice.
doing that Saturday at like 2 o'clock. So yeah, I'm not. prepared at all, but we're just gonna do it.
But you done more than that in your practice, in the sea
Yeah,
practice as well, didn't you? So,
yeah.
like, yeah, you'll be fine. Although, that being said, that's if it still happens, because the wind's supposed to go up to 25 to 40 mile an hour this weekend, coming from the east. So it might be cancelled, possibly. You have to play that one by ear.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So 8 weeks and 2 days I've got until my run, which
Yeah.
is just about 2 months. So yeah, that's I'm not prepared for it at all. Definitely need to recondition my ankles and my calves after this walk. So yeah,
I'm thinking the same about my swimmies. I'm not. I'm only a week after you, so I'm 9 weeks, and I'm not nowhere near where I need to be yet to get there. So yeah,
which is good because then that puts our adventure readiness to the test, right? Being 6 to 12 weeks out of doing anything, then 8 weeks is right in the middle of that. It's between yeah. So let's see how that goes. Right, I have got a very hungry dog. It is just coming up to 8:15, so I have got to sign off and feed my dog and feed myself as well. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions, if there's something that you wish we'd mentioned or talked about our trip, then please let us know. If you've got any ideas about where we could go next, that is relatively close by and won't take up too much time because we do have to run a business around these fun expeditions, then also let us know that as well because we want to do more fun stuff. And the final recommendation I will ask from you guys is if you know and if you trust all the way like some lightweight camping brands, definitely let us know about that because I've been looking into some of it and I can see some lightweight stuff. And here is something that I am considering, Josh, that I haven't told you yet because I've only been thinking about it for the last 24 hours. I would like to do something like what we done at the weekend, but run it with an ultralight tent on my back.
great.
Yeah, that is something I would kind of like to do, possibly with a dog as well, but obviously not in this kind of weather that we had, because
No,
that
it's
would be
too
too
hot
hot
right
for the
now,
dog.
isn't it?
Yeah, way too hot for the dog. That annoyed me when I saw people walking their dogs. To be fair, but yeah, that's something I've been thinking about. So yeah, guys, I just realised we didn't introduce ourselves, but I've been Jack. This has been Josh. We have been Horizon Strength, and we will catch you on the next one.
On the flip side.
On the flip
Bye.
side, if you're listening to this anywhere but the Adventure Ready Strength Club, then join it. It's cheap and it gives you everything you need to be adventure ready. And you get all of our knowledge without any of our moaning. So we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.